So what would you recommend to a nonprofit entity that was interested in developing its revenue model by going into for-profit projects?
First and foremost, the very first thing that the Sustainable Jobs Fund did was identify a market need. There's no sense in doing something you think would be a good idea and you like it and it could generate revenue if there is not a problem that you're trying to solve. We had a problem. We saw that there was a problem in the financing continuum, that there was a gap. Companies in our market sectors could not find traditional debt because they didn't have enough collateral, and they couldn't get venture money because they weren't going to be high enough growth or high enough margin. There was a gap. We identified the gap, and then we took our time in identifying what's the business model and how does that feed back into the nonprofit, and what's it going to take from a manpower perspective. For us, we looked at the Flexible Capital Fund and what's the threshold of what we need to raise in terms of equity capital, which is how the Flex Fund was funded, was through private investment from Vermonters, Vermont foundations, and actually folks across the country who are interested in our model. But we needed to understand what's that minimum threshold, because we couldn't add a full staff to run the Flex Fund. I already served as the deputy director of the Vermont Sustainable Jobs Fund. I had the banking background. Okay, that's logical. I could run the Flex Fund and then have the administrative support of the Jobs Fund. That made sense. It wouldn't have made sense if we had tried to build a whole new staff. So I think understanding the competencies that you have in your nonprofit, but first and foremost identifying the market need. And we had a really good advisory group that we took a good 2 years to identify the market need, the business model, and then the source of capital that we would go after to fund it.